I think certainly you look at, there's some personnel issues, but they're still very talented. So they're still very capable. Dave Aranda hadn't forgot how to coach defense, but it is coaching a different team right now. And the fundamental part of defense, we've talked about it time and time again, but the pace of the offense is going to have a direct correlative effect to how you play defense. If you're on the field that many snaps, if you're on the field with shorter intervals between series, you're going to have problems. So this is part of it. Also, when you got the football a lot, you're aggressive a lot, sometimes you make mistakes and you give points, and it's not on the defense. So a lot of it is basically dictated by the overall style of play. I think defensively, they certainly have some areas to improve on, but I think working through your depth a little bit, if this team is going to be defined, like, we're going to just put the foot on the pedal every game, then the defense has to have more depth. They have to have more pass rushers that are going to be able to come in waves so that you have fresh legs in the fourth quarter. Because if you don't, you're going to see very average teams, and I'm being kind by putting Vanderbilt in the average category, score a lot of points on you somehow, some way, due to offensive mistakes or defensive teams being on the field. So we're seeing something that's unique. 66, 35-ish games is something we haven't seen in LSU football in some time. This is maybe the new normal for now, but for them to be a championship caliber team, the ability to be able to have a 4-minute offense, to huddle, to slow down the pace, not try to score, but score on an end of long sustained drives is something that I think is really important in the world of college football at a championship level, and it's something that Alabama fought last year, something LSU's dealing with, and even with teams, Oklahoma's dealt with it. I think figuring that out is certainly pivotal. It's not that you can't win that way, but it's like a jump shooting team in basketball. If you have a cold shooting night, you're going to have trouble if you keep up the pace the way it is. Oklahoma has been very good. I mean, they've been the best offensive team in college football for the past 2 or 3 years. And they have played with Alabama and Georgia for a half. First half against Georgia in the Rose Bowl a couple of years ago, second half against Alabama. But their inability to be able to basically run a 4-minute offense to keep their defense off the field and to keep it fresh has caused them to be less than the championship level. Good enough to make the playoffs, but not good enough to win in it. So, yes, you can play that style, but I think it really depends upon what is your personnel. In Oklahoma's case, they don't have elite defensive personnel. I think in the case of, say, Alabama, and to a lesser degree LSU, both have elite defensive personnel. And I think to some degree when you play with a high pace, not trying to score, but you play at a high pace, it's going to put your defense in peril. It's going to make it more difficult to be successful. So, in other words, if you're going to score a lot and have a high-tempo offense, expect that your defense is going to give up 30, 35 points, and you're right. That's what a lot of defenses do in the Big 12. But it's also where you see a lot of games where you just don't know. Oklahoma, a lot better than West Virginia last year. They were in a shootout where whoever had the ball last was going to win it. Do you want to put yourself in a situation where you are going up against an inferior team, a team that you're probably 20 points better, but because you can't stop them because you're gassed and maybe you are put too many plays back to back to back in 2 or 3 games, all of a sudden you put a team like that where you're in a shootout game. Now, not that there's going to be many teams on LSU's schedule that can do that, but do you want to put yourself in that situation? That's what you have to ask. And listen, it's not an easy answer. It's not saying this is the right way, this is the wrong way. It's pointing out this is what happens. This is a byproduct of playing a certain way. And I think this is a kind of a fun time for this staff because, look, they can score a bunch of points, certainly help their defense by getting a bunch of points. But, it may mean you have to win games by 35 points, but you score 60 points in doing it. But if you play a team that can get your offense off the mark a little bit and you're still trying to go fast-paced and you can't run the football, then guess what's going to happen? It's going to be a shocker that says, wow, what just happened? It's, for Alabama, it was a national championship game and, wow, they just got boat raced by Clemson. Why did it happen? Because when they found somebody that could rush the passer and break the rhythm of their offense, and they couldn't run the football on it because they haven't established a run all year long, guess what? It was, wow, the world was shocked that Alabama lost. Well, that's kind of what happened because their identity changed.